right, welcome back to another episode of the Pressure Effect with the guys.
I'm your co-host, Jayce.
And today we got a special guest.
He coached at OC for 4 years, just took the head coaching job at Shawnee High School. My guy, Chad Johnson.
Going up, cuz, man. Appreciate y'all and come rock out with something, and I appreciate you having me on, fellas.
Yeah, man.
It's a nice little vibe out here, man.
Yeah, man, it's cool.
Yeah.
Little pool area. How you been, man?
Hey, man, I'm blessed, man. I can't complain. It's been a great transition for me this past month or so going to Shawnee, but I'm really excited about what's to come.
Yeah.
Obviously, have been at OC for the last 4 years. It's a place that's really special to me. So obviously, I met you.
Yeah.
But I felt like for me, it was a great opportunity to step into a new challenge, step into a new opportunity, a bigger role, more responsibility. That's something I'm really looking forward to, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, just took the head coaching job at Shawnee. Like I said, it was in 4 years for him. Yeah, and we coached me for a year. What's been the biggest I guess challenge or difference? Obviously it's college to high schools that just really when it comes to coaching and kids and stuff. What's been the biggest difference so far as you notice?
Man, honestly, I think the one thing that I didn't fully understand or fully consider, I might have even taken it for granted, is that, and you'll probably laugh at this,
Yeah.
in college, regardless of how much as coaches we want guys to play harder, compete harder, push harder, X, Y, and Z, the reality is everybody there is there for a reason. Like they have a vested interest in the game of basketball, right? Regardless of what it looks like to me as the coach day to day, like everybody is there because they have a vested interest in the game. Whereas in high school, a lot of guys just play just because they like playing ball and their friends play, and they might be pretty good, but they don't necessarily have a vested interest in the craft or really love the game.
Yeah.
And if you're fortunate, you have a group of guys or a program that has a lot of guys that do.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not the same magnitude. And so I think that's one thing that I learned pretty quickly is that uh, it'll be a lot of patience for me to understand that, man, these guys are just these young men are usually just playing the game because they like it and then maybe their friends play. And so it's my job to get the most out of them.
Yeah, for you. All right, well, man, before we get deep into this conversation, please like, comment, subscribe. We're starting something special for the next generation. But let's get right into it. I got a deep question.
Okay.
Let's start off hot. How, in high school, how can a parent help or hurt their kid in the recruiting process? Even if that's being a parent in the stands or social media presence, just how can a parent help or hurt the recruiting process?
Yeah, I think that one thing that I've learned in my 5 years or so coaching collegiately is that when you're recruiting a young man, you recruit the family.
Yeah.
And sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle because, especially in this day and age where it's relatively transactional, where you can meet a kid from the portal, get to know him in a day or two, you sign him the next week, and you don't really have the time or the necessary resources to get to know the family. But if you do it correctly and you really try to do your due diligence, you have to get to know the family. And a lot of times that can be the make or break decision between a kid earning a scholarship and not, because the truth of the matter is if a parent is, I don't want to say involved because that's not necessarily a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But if they're very, very hands-on and they seem to be relatively overbearing, that can be a turnoff. And however that looks, whether it be in the stands, on social media, maybe just their influence, that can be something that we as coaches will look at as, man, that's a red flag.
Yeah, man. I tell a lot of high school kids now, what you post on social media, dude, that's who you are. That's who told you to see you ask because that's all. I mean, that's all they know when they're trying to know you. I told a story on that podcast. My best friend Ricky Hunt, he got an offer from Tulsa University in football. Before the coach actually reached out to him, he went and followed me. So he basically recruited his friends and his family before he actually recruited him. And I tell kids that is crucial because dude, they only know so much about you that what you post is basically your first impression. That's who you are. And so when you posting all this nonsense stuff, that's kind of what they take it as. Yeah, man. I just think that parents can hurt or also help, but I want them to know, you being a former, college coach, that how they can go about it to help their kids get into school. I mean, the end goal is to get your school paid for. So
Absolutely. And I've told parents this, like, I I would be lying if I didn't think that a parent should want the best for their child. Like every parent's gonna think that their son is Michael Jordan, right? Like that's just how it works. Um, and rightfully so. Like you birth this young man. You've seen them grow up. You want them to be successful. You want them to be afforded all the luxuries of life. But the truth of the matter is, there's only so much they can do as a parent.
yeah.
And even to that point, I think a lot of times parents don't realize that when you're putting your kid in that situation to miss out on an opportunity because you might have an opinion about something or you might want to put your stamp on something, like that only hurts the kid in the grand scheme of things. And that's what's unfortunate because a lot of parents mean well. It just doesn't go the way they think it's gonna go.
Yeah. So this year, like I said, being coached by you and stuff like that, a big reason I came back from my senior year was because just how like you and the coach Kelly, like if y'all were my coaches, but it didn't feel like that. Like, we were it was like we were closer than just, player and coach. Like, we talked after practice a lot. Not even about basketball, it's not just about, just different things, life, stuff like that. And it felt like, I don't want to say like a homie, like a disrespectful, but you and Tyler felt like, friends, like homies, like I could call y'all up and just talk about whatever. We was on the game, playing the game. So like, is that, does that, I don't want to say philosophy, but does that kind of change once you get to high school? Like that kind of stance you have towards kids, does that get harder or change different just because you're dealing with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll say this: I want to be always looked at as a person that somebody can go to about anything.
Yeah.
Because one thing I do know that is a pro to coaching is that I have a lot of influence on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? You spend a lot of time with your coaches. In fact, you spend more time with your coaches than you do your actual parents.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's a badge of responsibility because I know I have the power and the influence to really, really help change somebody's life. So I definitely want kids and my players and students, regardless if they play basketball or not, to be able to see me in a light that they feel comfortable enough to say, "Hey, coach, here's what I'm thinking. Like, what should I do right here, or how would you handle the situation?" But I would also say that it's a little different too, because now there's a bigger gap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When I'm in college, and it was tough because I'm freshly removed from college. Like, I still had a little bit of an ego when I first got into coaching. Um, and I had to really, really find really, really quickly uh, kind of separate myself.
Yeah.
But I still wanted guys to feel comfortable coming to me because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, when you get into coaching, you do it because you love the game, you love the sport, you love the competition. But I would be lying to if I told you that part of my reasoning for coaching wasn't to help young people or help grow the next generation or help impact young humans' lives because that's what's about for me too. I want to win. I want to win just as much as every other coach, right? But I feel like if I can leave my mark and really help people and really positively impact them and influence them, then I've done my job.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to it's bigger than basketball. They're bigger than just a sport. But yeah, man, how have you seen God change your life? Like just like I was saying, like I was a moment or like like over your like your lifetime. Like how have God like truly changed your life?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I'll tell you a quick story if we have time. I can make it all come together. But I've been coaching now for almost 10 years, which is crazy to think. But I started out coaching third and fourth grade.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was my first opportunity to coach. From there, I actually started coaching high school in Nashville, Tennessee, where I was living while working in a corporate job in banking and finance. And from there, I had a little bit of success early on. I was coaching freshmen. I was a varsity assistant coach. I was very fortunate to be in that situation, and I really found a passion. I found a connection with the kids that I was coaching, and we had some success. And so I told myself, I said, man, if I'm going to do this coaching thing for real, I got to make a decision right now because I'm not getting any younger. And if I want to do this, I got to make this happen while I don't have too many obligations. So fast forward a year, I ended up getting a job at the Dallas Mavericks.
Sure.
And this is where my life really changed because a lot of people know that I worked for the Dallas Mavericks. They know that I was a player development intern. I worked with all the players. I was there Luka's rookie year, Dirk's last year. So I had a really hands-on experience. But what they don't know is that that was probably the most transformational time in my life because I was so focused on my craft, man. I was so focused on what I was doing, but at the same time, I was really having a lot of self-reflection. And I wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
Like I was actually working 3 jobs to try to make ends meet,
Yeah.
right? Just to make sure I had enough money to pay my rent
Yeah.
and all my bills. So I say this to say that during that time of where I had nothing, like I had everything I needed.
Yeah.
And it was great for me because it allowed me to really find myself. And so from there, I was able to move back to Oklahoma, got a job at UCO, and then the world shut down
Yeah.
and everything as we knew it changed. And so for me again, I'm at home. I can't go anywhere. So I started doing a lot more reading. I started doing a lot more reflecting, and I've always been a pretty spiritual person. And God has been very instrumental in my life, and a lot of my life, and a lot of things that have happened in my life
Yeah.
are very much imprinted because of God. And so I say all of that to say that I've been a beneficiary of God's grace. I've been a beneficiary of God having favor over my life. Even this most recent opportunity that I've been given, I'd be lying to if I told you it was me. Like it wasn't. Like I positioned myself. I've tried to be prepared. I've tried to do enough to welcome these opportunities, but
Yeah.
there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
So I definitely think God has a huge part of my life, and He's a big reason why I'm where I am today.
That was a big like I've talked about the last episode, and I'm a big believer. Like, this is the honest. Coming out of JUCO, then my team wasn't very good, and I didn't have record breaking stats, to get Division II offers and Division II list. But I was at OC for it. I got opportunity at OC for a reason.
Absolutely.
I'm a big believer in like it was more than just a basketball thing. At the time, last sophomore season, I struggled with my faith. It wasn't I didn't believe in guys. I really didn't understand it. I didn't really like know what I was reading, and I always take it back to I forgot the teacher's name this year because it was a Bible intelligence to take every single year, and that really like taught me a lot of like what I'm actually reading and what I'm actually doing. I think yes, I was at OC this year, but it was more than that, and I think that was like the first. People be saying like, yeah, God did this, God did that. I was always like, man, like that might be coincidence that this was the first time like I seen that, and like I said, I struggled this year. At the beginning of the season, with playing time and stuff like that. And I said last episode, like I dug into that, like my faith, and I started reading, started believing, and going to church. So I just digging into that side instead of what I could have done on the other side of it. My freshman year, I didn't play at all freshman year, and it was really hard. Almost quit. And I looked at everything besides that, getting into my faith and believing in myself. I'll be honest, I was going out, hang out with fun kind of people, and at the end of the day, I still wasn't playing. Like I would wake up the next day still sitting number 15 on the bench. Like nothing changed, but yeah, and so this year, like I said, like I hit that same rock bottom, and I never told y'all this. Like I did almost quit beginning of the first semester because it got hard. Like it was I'm a junior and I'm still not playing. Like
Yeah.
and I hit that rock bottom, and I was able to lean into that.
Hey, we had a lot of conversations, man. I don't even know if you remember me telling you this. I just told you. I told you um, that you're here for a reason. Like this part of the process is part of the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It sounds super cliche, but it's true that like you have to go through some things. You have to take some lumps sometimes
Yeah,
to really see who you are.
and it was hard. Like it was around that November. Like I remember that conversation we had at the bench after practice.
Yeah.
Like that was like the bottom, like rotten. Like I was struggling, bro. And once we got back from Christmas break, I that's when things changed, and my attitude got better. But it took a lot for me to like not turn to that side. So all that to say, I understand like what you were saying with the whole, like that was my first time experiencing what you experienced. Um, so like we had like a lot of things at OC like leaders and feeding with different things in the organizations. One of them was like after what was the organization?
So it was specifically called intercultural development.
Yeah.
And so essentially I was over all of the multicultural organizations. We had Latin American Student Organization,
Right.
Black Student Union, International Student Council.
Yeah.
And so that was something I took on last 2 years. It was great for me because it gave me an opportunity to interact all the other students on campus.
Yeah.
And really try to be an advocate for anybody that I felt like needed somebody to speak up for them, really.
Yeah.
But specifically Minority Students Coalition.
So like, I'm Native American,
Yeah.
Black. Like, we live in a crazy world right now.
Absolutely.
And so like what would not a message, but kind of what would you say to the, like I don't want to say minorities, but like you said, like inner kids who are, Black, brown, whatever, in this world that it's kind of wild right now and just stuff.
Yeah, man. I would definitely say don't ever minimize yourself to maximize somebody else.
Yeah.
I'll say that you don't ever water yourself down or minimize yourself to make somebody else feel bigger. I think a lot of times that can really be a challenge. I think that's something that I struggled with when I struggled with that for a long time, honestly, like knowing that I was capable, knowing that I was competent, knowing I was talented, but I did not want people to see that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it took a lot of practice. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of like self-reflecting to step into my own gifts, to really understand who I am. Because that's a challenge that a lot of people go through about really finding who they are.
Sure.
And it's just an ongoing process, honestly. It's something that, be it 32, I'm still refining. I'm still trying to cultivate who I am, who I want to be, how I want to be perceived, what I want my legacy to be. But I would definitely tell anybody who's out there to never minimize yourself. That doesn't mean you have to be arrogant or conceited. But I have this belief that there's a lot of people that would rather see you fail, right, because it makes them feel good, than would rather see you be successful, right? And that sounds super negative, but the truth of the matter is everybody wants you to be successful until you're more successful than.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about it though. Like just kind of take back like make a circle. Like I mean, like there's a saying like you can hang on 5 dummies, you'll get 6-1, and that's kind of like that's kind of true. Like I was telling Jayce, like I'm truly glad that God put him in my life this time because like I've been in gym way more. I've been pushing out like my faith way more. So it's like kind of like having that person like
Right.
by me and like mind you, we both left-handed, so we work out together. We got to guard each other. But like just having like a person like that in my life who's like who has the same goal, like same vision as me is kind of handy. But like how like I said, once again, being a former coach, how do you recruit character over talent? Because there's a lot of people who's talented, but their character is horrible. And I try to tell kids these days that you can be, you can average 25, you can do all these crazy numbers, but if you a bad teammate, if you talk about your coach, if you like or like cussing out the parents in the stands, like that's not gonna get you nowhere. Like in sports, but also in life. So how, like as a college coach, like what's your advice to kids to have all the time in the world when maybe character is not great?
I would say that you got to be a well-rounded person. Um, but I'll even go as far as to say that like it's a lot more important to have character, regardless of recruiting, regardless of getting to college.
Yeah,
And I know obviously that's kind of where your angle is, but if we're really honest with ourselves and we can even go in depth and I can take you all through the weeds of what it really looks like to play basketball in college and what that really means in the grand scheme of things. Uh, but the character piece is going to set you up for life, right? When the ball stops bouncing, which for the majority of basketball players, it stops after college,
sure.
right? If you're fortunate enough to play in college, it'll stop after college, right? So then all you have to go off of is your character. All you have to go off of after you've done everything you can do on the court is what's inside it. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that people fail to realize in this whole process, and myself included. Like we get so caught up in this guy can help me win games, or this guy can go do this on the floor. And maybe if I'm lucky, and maybe if I do it right, I can help him get a little bit better.
Yeah,
Why not just take a kid that you know is going to be able to do things the right way, may not be as talented, but you're not going to be banging your head up against the wall every single day, every other day, because they can't get the little things done, even though they might have the potential to go win you a basketball game.
yeah. And I mean, I'll be honest. Like I was telling Jayce, like when me and him first like kind of came close this summer, like I didn't play a lot this year. Like I didn't play more like much like as I wanted to. But one thing that my role was every day, we the leader, lead practice, on the bench, talk, learn the scout report. So when I'm in game, I can say, oh, he's a Rondo, So I tell kids like if like coaches can use you in a way that how they want to, but one thing that stands out to them is if you're like leading the pack, if you're like knowing everything and always being that adult in the room, that gets you far. And people think I'm crazy, corny, whatever, because like I always tell everybody I'm a team captain.
Yeah.
But that's something that I take pride on just because like that means a lot to me. That means that like what I say matters to my teammates, and like they know that, like I tell them, I'm like with like if I tell somebody no, it's to better them. So
I'll
no.
give you some advice real quick while I'm thinking about it. You know what they called two college graduates, one who was the player of the year, the other one who didn't play? You know what they call both those? Same one, college graduation.
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Fraser Osborne doing that. Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing people don't understand. Like that's something that I took pride in. Like even like my freshman year, I kind of had that role.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude, if I can lead this team, because like I know that I will always have my vision straight, my line, narrow. Like I will always have that goal, and I will always reach our goals. If I can take that charge, I can have my teammates follow me. So, just like everybody has this start like at advantage or disadvantage. Like some people are lucky, some people are not. Um, what would you say to maybe a high school kid like, who, like you said, live in a small town or who's under six split, want to go to college? Like, what's your advice to them to help them get there or to help them gain that focus and that confidence to reach their goals?
I would tell them you got to be the best player in your school, dude. And once you become the best player in your school, you got to be the best player in your area. Once you're the best player in your area, then you got to try to be the best player in this league. Yeah. Like the reality is, there's not really a magic formula. There's not really a magic wand that I can say, hey, this is how it works. Like the truth of the matter is, the best players get recruited. Uh, Sometimes that comes with sacrificing the character, but by and large, the most talented athletes get those opportunities. If you're 6 feet and under, you have to be elite. that we all watch the NBA Finals. Yeah, I don't remember seeing anybody 6 feet and under out there.
Facts.
CJ McConnell, maybe.
Everybody keeps saying T.J. McConnell. CJ McConnell's 6'1".
I didn't know. I don't know.
He's 6'1" on the good days, maybe 6'2". And also T.J. McConnell played at Arizona.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, earlier here, I mean, you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's just the reality. Like, everybody, there's a lot of 6-foot guards out there, but the reality is it's only a handful of spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would just tell anybody who's looking for those opportunities, you got to be elite.
I got one more question for you. It's kind of selfish. Just I want to know for myself or if any other people possibly watching too, maybe myself. So I've been coaching this summer. I've been helping Riverside girls high school team coach, and it's really like got me into like I actually really like it. It's like my whole thing when it came to coaching, like I started out like not really like I want to get to know them first before I start getting on to them because it's like I don't want them to think like, oh, he's just yelling to yell, you know. And so I told the line of like I'm like a cool coach, but it's like I'm trying to learn how to get them to lock in when it's time to lock in. And at times I think I'm too cool. So when it's time to lock in, it's like, like, let's keep, playing around. Or
Sure.
I want to be a coach that's not always yelling, but it's hard to do both. You feel me? So like, how would you? Because I feel like again, you're a coach that I didn't think was always yelling. You feel me? And so how do you like do that? Like how do you get both? Yeah, he's cool, but no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes with just developing a rapport, developing a relationship. I would say this, like, and this is something I do believe. Like, I wouldn't have necessarily thought this a few years ago, but you cannot care about being liked.
Yeah.
Like, and that sounds obvious, right? But like, there's naturally like we all want to be accepted. That's a human nature. But as the coach, like I've got to be okay with them not liking me.
Yeah.
But they know that when I'm saying something, that's what I mean.
Sure.
And if that comes with they don't really want to talk to me one day, that's fine. Like at the end of the day, my job is to get the most out of them, not to.